2021 has been an interesting year so far, with COVID seeming like it was getting better to a degree and then saying psych and slapping us right back in our chops. Seeing as this year is nearly an end, we thought it would be a good idea to tell you lovely people about the best game released for each main console in 2021. As an avid gamer myself, I've played nearly every console over the years and have attachments to each one. They all give me a different nostalgia trip when thinking of them, some better than others. I'd say they're all unique and great in their own ways. Yet there's still this constant fight of, Xbox is best, and no look, graphic, whilst the Switch just sits awkwardly in the corner watching like you at this year's Christmas dinner while your uncle and dad have that awkward political conversation again. We're not here to settle that debate for you though, far from it. We're here to keep them well apart and simply tell you which game is best for each one. Version exclusives have been around since the dawn of time and have always been frustrating, especially when a great game comes out for the other console and there's no physical way of you playing it. But again, to us, that's what makes them all unique. So we're going to go right ahead and look at the best console exclusive game for the Xbox, PlayStation and the Switch. First up, we're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch releases. I'm a huge fan of this console and think it's the best thing Nintendo have released in a long time. There have already been so many classic releases too, like Breath of the Wild, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Animal Crossing New Horizons. This year was no different, with a multitude of great titles hitting the shelves. But much like what we're doing for each console, we're telling you about the best two, then giving you our verdict on which one is better. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury released on the 12th of February 2021 and was an instant hit. Mario will never die. It's possibly the most iconic game of all time and paved the way for so many other titles. This game has not done the series any injustice, adding to the already hugely popular Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. The level design is top tier as always, with the colours being as vibrant as ever. There are so many different ways to go about playing them, and they all include a variety of mechanics. It makes for a totally different game almost every single time. You definitely won't be getting bored of playing. These different mechanics come in the form of power-ups, which have been consistent in the Super Mario games since their release. One level might require you to use the propeller box and fly up to certain parts of the map, whilst others will utilise the Super Bell, which first appeared in Super Mario 3D World, turning you into your cat form, which allows you to scale walls and swipe enemies. Multiplayer is also brilliant. It's a frantic mess of teamwork and rivalry where you have to help your teammates out so you don't lose your group lives, but you're also competing against them in a points-based contest. It makes for hours of fun as there's endless ways to produce hilarious memories on every single level. All in all, this game was another brilliant addition to the Mario series and is deservingly in consideration to be the best Switch exclusive game released in 2021. The second Switch title we're looking at is Metroid Dredd. This game was released on October 8th, 2021 and is the latest addition in the Metroid saga. I absolutely loved the old Metroid games on my Game Boy Advance. They were so much fun without being complicated at all. This game is just that and more. It stuck with the non-linear gameplay as you'd expect, but also added a lot to the graphics. The cutscenes take you out of 2D and into 3D, which really adds to the story as it's got a more engaging feel to it. Also, for the first time ever in Metroid, you were able to aim freely, without having to rely on the game locking you onto enemies. However, it does lock you on when you aim near them though. Those damn controller players and their aim assist, am I right? Along with this came a whole host of other new combat features, including invisibility and also sliding. Insert another COD-based joke here, I don't know, something about slide cancelling maybe. These new features make the game run much smoother than previous iterations, adding a lot to the combat aspect but also the movement. Even though you're playing a non-linear game, you feel like you have a lot of freedom, which is hard to achieve due to the restrictions. Overall, the game is certainly one of the best that we've seen on the Switch, and is a must-play for anyone who's a fan of the series, or if you just want a fun adventure game to kill some time on. Although both games are brilliant in their own right, I'm going to have to say that Super Mario 3D World is the best release this year. Any game that can take an already hugely popular title and enhance it with new features and better gameplay is clearly going to go down well, and this one certainly did that. Xbox is the console that I've definitely played the most of by far. It's taken me through years of Call of Duty and FIFA and is yet to let me down. Whilst it doesn't boast a wide variety of exclusive games like the PS5, the ones it does own are certainly not to be sniffed at, none of which more so than the first game of the two, Halo Infinite. If you were to ask most gamers, they would tell you that Halo is the game that defined the Xbox, and it's really hard to argue with that. Known for its incredible campaign and fascinating world design, Infinite had a lot to live up to. Once the community heard that the multiplayer would be free and that the campaign would cost the price of the full game, some became skeptical, thinking that this might affect the quality of the gameplay. Well, it certainly didn't. Once the multiplayer landed, people were generally impressed with it. The gunplay is clean, with all the same weapons coming back and each being pretty good in their own right. The only slight issue is the rocket launchers, which were always extremely powerful, as you'd expect, but seem to have gone a bit overboard in Infinite. It's probably the lack of skill required to use it that gets on people's nerves. Either way, it doesn't take too much away from the experience. There are also a good amount of game modes to play on a variety of good-looking maps that all have a decent flow to them, so things should never really get too stale. There are only 10 maps released on launch, however, but as it's completely free to play, you can't complain too much. The campaign, however, was not free, but I doubt anyone who bought it will care. Once again, it was an absolute joy to play, with jaw-dropping scenery, new combat mechanics, and a tear-jerking story. It encapsulated everything that makes Halo such a great franchise. Overall, it takes around 25 hours to complete the entire thing, but a fair bit of that is side missions, except the side missions are actually totally worth doing as they add a lot to the main story too, giving you items and new methods of combat that add to the overall experience of the game. It certainly exceeded people's expectations and was definitely worth the wait after its release was pushed back from 2020. It would take a truly sensational game to beat this one. Well, Forza Horizon 5 definitely meets that description. When this game dropped, people went crazy for it. The gameplay is phenomenal and the graphics are to die for. We were fully expecting this game to be incredible from past Forzas, but honestly, this just took things to another level. This iteration is based in Mexico, making the map design majestic, with mountain ranges, forests, and plenty of dirt roads to explore. As with all Horizon games, the open world aspect makes every single time you play feel unique. Not just that though, the colours on the map give it such a vibrant feel, and really add to the experience. You can seriously get lost just driving around for hours on end, and if you're not getting lost driving, you're probably getting lost in the garage, fine-tuning your car with thousands of upgrades and different parts to choose from. The amount of customization, even just stock cars available, is staggering. No other game even comes close on the market to competing with them in this category. Or in any, to be honest. It'll have you constantly dipping back in to change this and that. But that's half the fun of it. Where this game falls short is the online play. Whilst in concept it's great and offers a ton of ways to have fun with your mates, it also comes with one big issue: the servers. Players have been experiencing issues getting online, and even when they do, it turns out that they're invisible to their friends sometimes. It really is a shame, as this game would without a doubt be the greatest driving game of all time if it were running smoothly. Actually, it might even still be. Both games are truly amazing, and honestly, I think either could be the best exclusive this year, or maybe even in the last 5 years. But the one deciding factor for me has to be the servers in Forza. I think if they were working just fine, then Forza would probably take the title, but seeing as they've caused so many issues, I'm going to have to give it to Halo Infinite. Still an extremely worthy winner though, don't get me wrong. The introduction of the PS5 in 2020 brought a large amount of releases with it that were already impressive, but over the entirety of 2021 we have now seen what it really has to offer. The PlayStation consoles have always been seen to have better graphics and even the better console exclusives. Games such as The Last of Us and Spider-Man have been rubbed in the faces of Xbox players for years, but did this year's version exclusives live up to the same standards? Well, I'm about to tell you. Speaking of iconic PlayStation releases, the first game we've chosen is just that. Ratchet and Clank has had a total of 17 games in its series, and I'm sure is a huge part of a lot of people's childhoods. Each game up until now has been loved individually, so most people knew that this game wasn't going to disappoint. Taking place in between dimensions for the first time ever, Rift Apart gave us a Ratchet and Clank experience and world we'd never seen before. It's always been a graphically pleasing game, but my word is Rift Apart in its own league. There are a wide variety of locations to see and explore, and every single one of them is gorgeous. The colours are all so different and really pop out of the screen when you're going from dimension to dimension. You really get to see them at their best in the cutscenes too. The all-round cinematography is incredible. Perhaps one of the coolest features of this game is the introduction of Ratchet's alter ego from a different dimension, Rivet. Not only does she offer a completely different personality to Ratchet, she also has a really well thought out background, which you get to experience and explore as the game goes on. In terms of writing, this game is perfect. The storyline is engaging, funny, and also sad in parts. It really is a rollercoaster of emotions. In terms of gameplay, it's just what you'd expect. A third-person shooter that offers a wide range of different enemies and bosses to defeat, coupled with a pretty basic but easy to learn movement system, meaning that you can pick up this game as a new player and have no trouble playing immediately. It's a great choice for anyone who's looking for a casual adventure game that will provide hours of entertainment and a gripping storyline. A truly great addition to an already brilliant series. The second PS5 entry and the final game we'll be talking about overall is Deathloop. I know this game technically isn't a version exclusive, as it will be available on the Xbox Series X and other consoles in late 2022, but it makes our list as it was a console exclusive in 2021 and we make the rules, deal with it. Deathloop came to us from Arcane Studios, the same developers as Dishonored, so it had a fair amount of buzz around it pre-launch. Its art style is clean and the map looks great, but for me this isn't the main highlight of the game. However, it certainly does look good enough to get you immersed in the world while you're playing. The cartoon-like interface is really cool however. It's unique and gives the game its own personality. Where this game really excels is its storyline and concept. You're essentially stuck in a never-ending loop, designed by a company called Eon to be used as a test on an isolated island called Black Reef. To ultimately break the loop involves taking out 8 different visionaries, which, even if you fail to take out just one of them, will send you right back to the start of the loop. I've never even thought about mixing Hitman and Groundhog Day, but these guys did. It actually makes for a really engaging story and a great character arc for the player, resulting in a really cool ending with multiple different scenarios to choose from. I'll say no more than that. Gameplay wise, it's really solid, with a cool array of weapons to use and the ability to dual wield any of them together. You could have your hacking device in one hand with a gun, or it could be a knife in the other hand, you get the picture. The movement also feels great, as you're able to use stealth when taking out enemies, a technique that you're actually advised to use throughout. Deathloop is a really solid experience and definitely worth playing if you're looking for a totally unique game in terms of art style and storyline. Definitely a worthy contender for PS5 exclusive of the year. Whilst I do think that Deathloop is a really great concept and a solid game, unfortunately Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart takes the cake here. It added a variety of new features and a really ambitious storyline without straying too far from the previous titles. It was always going to be extremely hard to beat. Tough luck, Deathloop. Well, there you have it, the best exclusive game for each console in 2021. There were some truly phenomenal games released and even more to come in 2022. Did you agree with our picks? If not, please do tell us your thoughts in the comments. If you agreed, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Actually, even if you disagreed, could you still do that bit? Thank you for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next video.